Hello everybody, my name is Andrew Davis and I am reviewing the National League Central Division. Um, if you watch any of my other videos, you obviously know the place I put all the teams in the National League Central, but just in case if you didn't, this is my order from last to first. 5th place Milwaukee Brewers, 4th place Chicago Cubs, 3rd place Pittsburgh Pirates, 2nd place Cincinnati Reds, and the 1st place St. Louis Cardinals. Um, Going through a few different things. Overall best hitter in the National League Central this upcoming season. Joey Votto of the Cincinnati Reds. He's been consistent. He hasn't really struggled over the past few years since he's been in the major leagues, and he hasn't disappointed. He's just he's just been on an unfortunate team. That's really what it comes down to. The Reds should be a World Series title contender, but because of the fact that some of the players more into their pitching staff, it's not holding up every year. Their pitching is not holding up. But regardless, overall best hitter, Joey Votto. Overall pitcher, Jeff Samardzija from the Chicago Cubs. I love Jeff Samardzija as a fan. I love him. I love the way he pitches. I love the way he looks at the game. If you ever get a chance to watch like an interview of him like online or on TV or something, do it because he is very very smart and he knows what he's talking about. People underestimate him a lot. He's still coming up through the rankings, but he will definitely shock some people. I don't know if he's going to be the best pitcher in the National League Central, but I think overall, I think he'll be the biggest surprise pitcher out of everybody in the National League Central. Most improved, Ricky Weeks of the Milwaukee Brewers. If you watch my review of the Milwaukee Brewers, I said that Ricky Weeks has to do better this year. And I meant that. He has to do better. There is no choice. If he doesn't do better, the Brewers have absolutely no chance. It doesn't matter what Ryan Braun does, does not matter what Aramis Ramirez does. Ricky Weeks has to get back to where he was. He is pretty much their only speed threat. And if he doesn't get on base, that means there's no speed threat. And then the pitchers can focus and they'll completely shut down that Brewers offense. Best relief pitcher. Not a huge surprise. Cincinnati Reds closing pitcher Aroldis Chapman. Not a big surprise. I don't need to get into detail. Everybody knows how fast his fastball is. Obviously, can touch almost 105 miles an hour at points. One of the fastest fastballs in MLB history. Biggest disappointments in the National League Central. Team-wise, the Pittsburgh Pirates. They're going to be a big disappointment. Considering they just got back to the playoffs, I really think they took a step back, especially on their pitching staff. Now, the addition of Francisco Liriano was a good pickup, but the loss of A.J. Burnett was even greater because he was the pitching last year. He had the most innings pitched for the Pirates, the most strikeouts, and he was pretty much one of the only guys that didn't get injured. I mean, he was injured for a very, very small time there. At one point during the season, I think it was like the second half of the season for a little bit, but it wasn't long. I know it wasn't long, but especially the fact that the Phillies picked him up for such a small amount for 1 year, $16 million, and the Pirates didn't even want to match that. I mean, I think it was a terrible decision on the Pirates' part. And not just their pitching. I'm not going to blame it all on their pitching. I don't think their offense is going to be quite as good. Their offense shocked some people last year with like Pedro Alvarez and Andrew McCutchen. I don't think Andrew McCutchen is going to be as good this year. And the loss of Garrett Jones does hurt him somewhat. Not a whole lot, but it's enough that it's gonna knock him down a little bit. It's not going to be enough to make the playoffs this year. From a player standpoint, biggest disappointment, Matt Holliday of the St. Louis Cardinals. As you know, he was injured this past season for a good part of the season. I just something about him. I don't know why. His offense is good at points during the season, at points, but he gets injured too much. And it's not going to work out for the Cardinals if he keeps doing that. Because some of the parts on that team from last year's National League Championship team, it's a little sketchy from last year. Because there are changes and there are differences. And they need to keep the guys that were there last year, they need to keep those guys together and healthy. But I don't think Matt Holliday is going to be healthy regardless. He wasn't last year. He probably won't be this year. So if there's anybody that should be the biggest disappointment, it would be him. So this was my review of the National League Central Division in the Major League Baseball. Thank you.